Hi guys, welcome back to Zeller World Podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Shubbam, which is the head of ecosystem of Manta Network. This is not the first time I met him. Already multiple times throughout all the Asia tour that Manta has. Basically, Manta is building an EVM equivalent ZK application platform. Which is why I'm here today, and I'm excited to learn more about what Manta is doing from Shubham in this podcast, and hopefully you guys can also learn more about the activities that's currently happening at Manta. So welcome, Shubham.
Thank you. Thank you.
How are you doing?
It's great. Like tiring, but it's great now.
Okay, I think that's been the a really common answer from the past few podcast guests that we have, especially after the chain of events that we have here in Asia. So Shubham, please introduce yourself to the audience. You can start by your background, what are your experience and what are you up to right now?
Got it. Sure. So, I started my Web3 journey specifically as a trader back in 2019. But the actual exposure of industry I got through Polygon. So that time I was not a BD or a ecosystem guy. I was more on the research side. So I used to do like research for all the gaming projects and tier one projects for Polygon. After that, I shifted to a gaming project which was a part of Polygon ecosystem. Initially started as business development manager, but then I shifted and I got promotion and started working as a head of BD. That project is right now known as Sonic SVM. It's a gaming chain on Solana ecosystem. Apart from
Mm-hmm.
that, after that I started working with Mantle Network. So as we know, like Mantle is also optimistic roll up, like currently doing well. I was leading the gaming side for them. After that, back in October 2023, I started, like it's around a year now, like more than a year now. I started working with Manta as a head of ecosystem. So Manta major focus was on DeFi side. So initially I started working on the DeFi side, then some other narratives like gaming. Recently it was RWA and stuff. So that was my previous journey, like till now. Apart from that, not talking about my role specifically in Manta Network. So as I mentioned, I'm the head of ecosystem. So my major focus is to onboard projects, to see what projects are doing, how we can support them. And apart from that, we also recently announced, like back in June, I think so, we announced Manta Foundation. So it is a 50 million fund. So I also help to strategize it, to help projects who are closely working with us to get support from that particular fund. Either it can be eco side, or it can be on the grant side, or maybe it can be for the early developers as well with the help of hackathons.
I see. Wow, that's such an extensive resume. Really, really happy to have you here. Um, I'm actually curious, with your experience previously with Polygon and Mental, like those are really, gaming focused, and even that's what you're trying to bring as well in Manta right now. Like, why gaming? And do you happen to be, just came across gaming or research about gaming previously, or has that been your interest from the beginning?
Got it. So, just to be honest, when I started doing research, so that was not my major focus. Like, I was not even sure that if gaming will be a good thing in future for Web3,
Mm-hmm.
because a Web2 gamer doesn't really, that time, like back in 2020, it was not really simple to log in with your like Google account or stuff. So I don't like that particular thing, and I was sure that Web2 audience will not like that. So I was not focused on gaming, but I was more focused on the ecosystem side. So I've also done some research on Tron and stuff. So uh, that was the time when I started to learn how the layer twos, layer ones, and all these things works, how this connect and everything. So but luckily I got into gaming, and I started doing some research on that particular side, starting from Polygon, because as I mentioned, I was not a BD guy. I was more on the research side. And the next opportunity which I got from the Polygon ecosystem was a gaming project. So that was how I got aligned with gaming. And when I came to Mantel, so they just saw that my previous background is gaming, so that was the reason I got again into gaming. But when I
Mm-hmm.
came to Manta, so because of overall experience, I got a update and I got into ecosystem overall.
I want to pick your brain on what do you think of, gaming adoption, specifically talking about like Web3 games, because I see like there's such a separation between like Web2 and Web3 players. Like, back in like 4 years ago, Web3 games are like all play to earn. We have like Axie Infinity. They're all like focused on really earning and getting their rewards. But if we're talking about like the real gamers, they're really in it for the fun. They're in it for the experience. Any other skins or like other benefits and even like earning capabilities is just like an add-on to that. So what do you think of that? Why is there like such a separation? And were you trying to solve that issue as well?
Got it. So, actually, when you talked about add-ons, so when I started researching about gaming, I thought this is the only major use case which we should focus on, because
Mm.
when we talk about like fully on-chain game and stuff, it was quite laggy. It was a lot of like fees which we need to pay, and everything was so difficult. So I think like that time the major thing which any game should do was about either bringing rewards to a web 2 game. So I've seen a lot of like places or maybe esports platform where users can come together, they can play web 2 game, but they will be earning web 3 tokens. Like that can be a platform, like what platform is like bringing their own token. It can be USDT, USDC, or ETH, whatever we pay on the battle pass side. Second, thought major focus should be on like all these assets which we have right now in Web 2 games that can be converted into Web 3. So that was the second phase where I think like we should majorly focus on, because Web 2 players, if they get an incentive by playing the same game by using the same assets, but that assets can be tradable, so that can be a good thing for them, right? So that should be the second focus. Third should be when we should create the whole bunch of like on-chain games which can be competitive to a web 2 game. I've seen a lot of games now. Like initially I didn't see that, but now I'm seeing a lot of games which has a good traction, which can be called as better than or maybe equivalent to a web 2 game. So we are seeing that phase right now. So people can come together because of like account abstraction and everything. We can easily log in, we can easily use that. And maybe I've seen like even Manta has been supporting some gaming projects with like no gas fee, with rewarding the users if they play the game, so that it can be attractive to web 2 users and they can plug in and play the games. So this is three phases which I've seen. But I think so we have completed and we have been to all the three phases, but no, not a single phase was truly completed. So when we talk about like the assets completion or maybe on-chain assets for web 2 game, we
Mhm.
didn't do it completely. When we talk about account abstraction, not every game is doing that. When we talk about fully on-chain game, not everyone is doing that. When we talk about the first phase, so no one is doing the whole thing, everyone is taking some part of it and doing some stuff.
Yes, exactly. And I do think like maybe from my opinion, like the reason why everybody's just like, taking like some parts of it and like not focusing on the entirety of like the user experience. I think it's because like gaming in general, like, as an industry and you as a gaming developer, this is what I've heard as well. It's really hard to build. Sometimes you want to focus on the user experience, or even with Web3 on top of it, you got to focus also on the user rewards, right? And those are all like different steps and basically are hard to build and takes time. So but I do see, like within the past few years, like a lot of like these VCs are also focusing on like gaming projects. But again, like in order, even for Web2 games, in order for you to launch a full games, it would take years, right? 5 years, 10 years. Like, I mean, I'm also a gamer. Like we see Kingdom Hearts that, only launches after like 10 years and so on. So, I think that's should be what's happening with Web3 games if we want the whole piece, the whole entirety to have like that user experience and also the rewards that came with it. I mean, talking also about account extraction, that is also interesting because that's what also we provide, and we work with a lot of like games that actually want that account abstraction and Web2 feel for their gaming. So, do you think like everything in the future will be account abstracted, not only like just on games, but also like with other dApps?
Yeah, yep. So, like talking about the first part which you mentioned about the budget and stuff. So, I have seen this thing. So, the games which are built in Web3 are really low budget, and when we talk about same thing in Web2, they have a big, huge budget. So that is a
Yes.
difference when it comes to team size, it comes to the developers and everything. Second, now talking about account abstraction. So I think so that is a quite important thing, and that will be used by everyone in future, because we don't want to like do all this stuff like creating a new wallet for each and every chain and then using that. It's easy to log in through email because we have been doing that thing, right? Apart from that,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you're familiar, but we have also seen chain abstraction recently. So that is
Yes.
more good feature, because right now, as I am coming from a EVM background, I majorly prefer ERC20 EVM side. I've never like explored much on the Solana side, or maybe on
Mm-hmm.
some other side like Aptos and stuff. So I wanted to do that, but if I can't do it because I need to transfer my assets, I need to buy their own token because of gas fee and stuff. But because of
Yes.
all this thing, it will be really easy for me, and I can easily do all the stuff like sitting on my base chain and doing transaction on different chains as well. So this is a good feature, I think so, and I think like if you guys are providing account abstraction, that is really helpful, and it should get some traction as soon as like people start adopting it, and there will be a lot of projects coming around.
Yes, yes. And good thing that you mentioned about chain abstraction because that's like something that we're currently also developing. I think just being, coming from like KBW, coming from like Token, CoinFest and so on, there's like this input or like feedback that people are actually needing more and more chain abstraction focused product. So I think there's also like, getting like iterations and getting that to our tech team to develop more and more solutions around that. So
Yeah.
I'm also curious, Shubham, because Manta, we in Indonesia, right? I'm based in Indonesia. There used to be like a very hype, a community, and even it used to be very hype. Manta used to be very hype. There's this one influencer that has like this huge following, and also huge backing. Like they provide signal and so on. And this influencer, I think last year, talks a lot about Manta. Is that like part of your plan, coming into Indonesia or in general? Like, what's your secret, getting all this hype from even like a country from Indonesia can, you know, I guess trade on Manta, hold Manta and like, and inquire about it.
Okay, so I'm not sure if we should talk about token prices and everything,
Okay.
but let's talk about it now. It's good. Like when we talk about all the layer twos and stuff, so Manta is very undervalued on that particular side. I'll tell you the reasons behind that. So we were the chain which started, like the layer two was started back like mid of like 2023. So mid
Mm,
of 23 till mid of 24, 1 year we have launched our product. Testnet, mainnet gone live, TVL gone up. Like we were the top three layer twos. We are generating revenue. We live on all the biggest exchanges. We have now our own eco fund. Everything just within a year. So that is how efficient team is. That is first
mm,
part. Second, not talking about details. We launched our, I think so, mainnet back in September, because I joined in October, so I was at like the early time of the ecosystem development. After that, we launched our first phase of like new paradigm back in December. That was the major hit for us, and within 24 days, I think so, we got 900 million TVL. So that was the kind of hype in community about Manta token and Manta, like in general. After that, in January, on January 18th, we launched our Manta token, which was starting with Binance, Bybit, all the exchanges which you can mention. Okay,
yeah.
that was completed. Then we started with some narratives as well. Renew paradigm, then like restaking paradigm, because restaking was quite taking a lead. After that, we started with eco fund. Then in between, we were working on the tech side as well, because these were all the non-tech side. On tech side, on December, when Tia like Celestia got launched, we were the first chain to adopt them. We are the first and the largest chain which is modular right now. Apart from that, recently we announced multi DA, where instead of using just one as a DA service, we will have multiple options. So in case Celestia goes down, we'll still have multiple options over there. Then now, as everyone talks about community but no one actually care about it, but we have done that. So right now, if suppose like you are coming to Manta, you are using Manta chain. First,
Mm-hmm.
whatever gas fee you are paying, you will be getting 50% back of whatever you are paying to us. Second, if you are you are on the top 400 list, you will get additional rewards. So basically you will get the gas fee return, plus you will get the additional reward for that. And that brings us a value, whatever community who has been loyal to us, similar to the person you are talking. So as he is the top one, so he will be getting rewards from us definitely, because he has been loyal to us,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now talking about the community side, which you mentioned about Indonesia. So Manta initially started focusing on each and every market, and we started with 12 regional focus, like community managers, communities with Telegram, Twitter, everything. So including India, Indonesia, Vietnam, Southeast Asian countries, some part of like Europe, and some part of
Mm-hmm.
US. So we started with these communities. Out of that, Malaysia, India, I know Indonesia, we have a good growth. We have good loyal community over there. So people love us because of our everything. Like it can be related to product, non-product, everything. So they are quite loyal to us, and that's the reason like we have been like present in all the small or biggest event in Malaysia and Indonesia. So even I think so recently, I think in November or December, there are some events in Indonesia, Jakarta. But still Manta will
Yes.
be present over there, and we will be like looking to our community what they are expecting, what they are doing, and hopefully that time bull market will start again and we'll see the price bumps.
What would be the biggest region as of now? I don't know if Indonesia is like quite big for you guys, but in comparison to other countries.
Oh, yep. So it is. That's the reason we are investing, right? So
Okay,
the region which is already big, we want to make it more big and loyal to us. So Indonesia, it's Vietnam, it's CIS community, it's India, and it's Malaysia now. Malaysia, we recently started, but we got a good response over there. So there are new builders. There were no one who was tapping into that market, and we started that.
I see. I see. It's very very exciting. Because Indonesia again, we are like pretty retail. Like a lot of us focuses more on the token instead of like the project itself.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's the case with other countries or like even neighboring countries as well. But I think I'm hoping to also see from my end, a lot of like these chains that comes to Indonesia needs to focus more on like providing a platform for like the builders and developers to actually support the ecosystem. So like what are your plans to do that? I'm just curious to hear from directly from you.
I think so. We met in Singapore, right? But in
Yeah.
like Indonesia, when we were there, we were sponsoring CoinFest. We also
Hmm.
sponsored like Eat Sea, like
Okay,
Eat
ETC.
Southeast Asia. Yeah. So that was the reason why we thought that the developers can also be good enough to come and join the ecosystem, and we got the good developers as well. So I'll just give you a brief. So one was from the Deepin side, which was at Indonesia. Second one was a gaming project, again Indonesian team. Third one
Wow.
was a kind of social fair, but that was not an Indonesian team. Fourth one, it was a NFT kind of marketplace, but with have some AI features and stuff. Indonesian team. And fifth one, I don't really remember, but yeah, out of like five team, even if we take an average, so 60% was 70% was a like Indonesian team. So I think so that was one thing. Apart from that, like we have started like some hackathons soon, and in Jakarta we'll be doing something over their side as well, so that we can make developers meet up, so that we can understand what you guys are building, what you guys are doing. Uh, Also, like we have been talking to some of the local exchanges as well to see how we can support them, how we can do something closely with them. So that is one thing which we are doing right now.
Wow. Interesting. I didn't know that everyone, I mean most of the winners from ETC are from Indonesia. I didn't know that. I guess we have like a lot of developers trying to, get good projects out there.
It
I'm
was
I'm
good.
also like,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yep, it was good. Like because not just Manta, even Aptos was there, even Lesk, some other chain was there. So
Okay.
people are focused on Indonesian market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're also partnering with Alice. Actually, we're gonna have like go into a podcast with Dominic from Liz. So there's like a lot of like exciting things coming from like multiple chains as well. I know that like ICP is also pretty big in Bali. Like they have like their own startup program. I think like and funding with Demo Day for ICP. So it's like quite also big a big presence here. But you also mentioned, Shubham, that with all your gaming experience and so on, in Mantle, also in Polygon, are you gonna bring that to Manta?
So yes, we are doing that. So right now, if you see like the top tabs, so you will also see gaming projects. And trust me, till December and January, we were not that focused on the gaming side. After token
Okay.
launch and after uh, renew paradigm, restaking paradigm, we also thought we will be exploring gaming side more, and we started to do that, and we got some good response on that particular. And so in eco fund side, so I think so we have provided some grants and investment to gaming projects, so you can see the diversification over there. So Elfin was the one, Taipin was the another one, Taman was the third one. uh, I think so. These are the top ones which are currently performing. But yeah, that's one thing. And we have been in talks with some other gaming projects as well who haven't been live yet. But we can discover that once they go live, they can have some decent traction. Even if they don't have a decent traction, but they are definitely a good game.
I see, I see. And what do you think of like, because a lot of games right now they're riding on this whole Telegram tap to earn whatever hype. Every other game that I see launches on Telegram. What do you think of that? And most of the games that is actually part of the eco fund, are those also approaching the same narrative as like Telegram game, or is it like a as an independent studio?
So initially, the idea of Telegram games like mini game was good, but the Tap to Earn was not really good if we continue to do that. So initially, it was good because like Notcoin, Hamster Compact did, and they
Hmm.
tried to bring a lot of like users from Web 2 to Web 3. Okay, that was a good scene. But right now, people are following the same. They are creating forks on different chain, and they are trying to get the grants and funding from us. That is one thing. So trust me, I'm not liking that idea more. But if suppose they have some uniqueness, they have some different things which they can do, so I'm happy to support them. Because when the first game Notcoin or maybe like this Hamster Combat started, so people were coming from Web 2. So if suppose like uh, 70-80% are from Web 3, still there were around 20 to 30% coming from Web 2. But now as they have also been the Web 2 Web 3 community, now a new game is launching, there are very few Web 2 community which is coming and onboarded. They're more like a farmers who are using this like tap games to just earn the token. So I think so that is not a good narrative which we should focus on. But the Telegram mini app as a general, if we create some good games, that is good one, because it is quite simple. And if you have seen, whenever we go to events and everything, we usually prefer Telegram, right? So
Yeah.
Telegram can is already having a good adoption. If we create games inside Telegram, so you can have a very easy audience which can be reached out to.
Yeah, I think Telegram, they really have like a good distribution for games. It's easy for like smaller game studios to actually launch on Telegram because they can get the traction, let's say to just like raise another round, or like just to prove that they have like gamers and actually like users. But again, like if you're trying to get like really the Web3 market, most I totally agree. Like most of them would be coming from Web2, just relying on like the TGE of the game itself.
Mhm. Yeah.
So what do you think would be the next games that could work that don't rely on like Telegram?
Oh, okay. So, like, I think so. There are some on-chain games. Like, if you know how the local networks work over here. So, if suppose like instead of like settling all the data onto the main chain, there are some local networks who are providing this service between the game and between the layer two. Like, so for example, Manta is over here. This is the game. They will be in between, so whatever
Mm-hmm.
data is done, like whatever things you play on the game side, that will be stored on this local network, and one transaction will be sent on the main network. So this actually helped the gaming industry to like get adopted, because they don't have to pay the gas fee, they don't have to do anything, but still all the transactions will be minted on chain. So this is how I think so like we should work on, and Manta is planning. Manta is already doing this thing. So this like for example, if simple, like say suppose ZK Hold'em or some other like Texas Hold'em game, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
a card game which we are playing right now. So when a person enters to the market or maybe enters to the table, they pay a gas fee, they start playing, they do all the things that will be stored under the local network where they don't have to pay any gas fee, and at end when we withdraw the amount they need to pay the gas fee, and that's done. So just two transaction for a whole this game, like a phase of the game. So that is one thing, like I think so everyone should focus, and that it can be a good thing to adopt the games. So as you mentioned, like you asked me the question, like what I think next games can be. So I think so the next games which I would look into will be a kind of this things, which will be using all the thing. Now talking about good games which I personally like, I really like FPS and stuff like PvP mode. So there the major thing which we can do is like instead of like creating a tokenomics which is quite complex, and you need to
Mm-hmm.
give the tokens, you burn that and sell the NFTs, we can do a very simple task where it can be related to similar to gambling, where both the parties provide or buy the battle passes. Whoever wins the game, they get like 1.5%, like 80% of the amount which they invested or maybe they lost, and remaining 20% is kept with the team. So for example, if we both come into a game, we both provide $1 each, winner will get $1.8, and remaining $0.2 goes for the platform to run the platform. That's it. So I think so this is very
Mm-hmm.
simple model, and this can be adopted easily. So if we do this thing, they don't have to worry about their own token. But if we get their own token as well, maybe with 1.8 I get their own token, so that can be a good interesting thing to attract people more. So that is one which I feel can be a good reason to adopt the Web3 gaming.
Yes, I think that in itself, it needs to be. I think there's like a lot of work into it, especially on the tech side. Is that like something that you also provide, assistance to like these gaming projects, really on like insights and inputs on like how to actually manage all this like process and flows for the games itself?
Um, we do like not just for the gaming, but like there is one thing which I have been mentioning on the Twitter as well, that uh, while working on with all these projects, like all the chains, all the games, and everything, there are very few times where a chain co-founders come into the group, every group, not just a small or a big group, but every group, and support the projects as well. Even if suppose I'm not responding to them and he sees that, like Kenny or Victor sees that I'm not responding, they respond to them. So that is a kind of like dedication towards the teams who are currently building on Manta. So that is one thing like I was and I am quite bullish on. So our team, our co-founders are really supportive on that side. That is one. Apart from that, like Kenny is good into marketing, Victor is good with numbers. So definitely the both combination works well, and we are happy to support. Like we are supporting the projects directly. So no, I don't think so. Like even when we go to events, our co-founder sits on the booth. So that is how
Yeah.
like they are joined to the community and they are close to it. So this is one good point which I've seen, and I think like every co-founder should do that. At least not if they are not available every time, but at least whenever they are, they should do that.
Yes, talking about just I wanna do a little bit of segue. Talking about like co-founders, right? Just like the general one. Um, looking at like you have like all this fund, eco fund and so on, then you must see and talk to a lot of like founders, right? On a daily basis even. What are the traits that you feel that you actually see from a co-founder that makes you think, okay, this is a good founder. This founder can lead a good project. Do you came across like those traits in common, or like what are those you can
Yeah.
share?
So, like my personal view, whenever I see a project, is depending on three to four things. First is like team, not just founder. I also want to know the early team, like what they have done previously. So, for example, if it is like a core ZK research, or maybe a ZK proof team, or they are developing a tech kind of infra thing. So I need more of a tech team, not a marketing team, right? So that is the reason I want to understand like what their team background is, like not just the co-founder. Second, talking about what is their market, what are they planning to do actually, because I've seen a lot of projects who start doing something, then they shift to something else, and they just do that a lot of time because they want to sustain
Mm-hmm.
the market. That's it. So I
Yeah.
don't want to do that. So I want to see how much good are they on the execution side. If they plan to launch their mainnet or maybe the like fully live product by November, so how loyal they are to do that. So that is another thing. To be honest, like as Manta is majorly focused on the like Manta fund is focused on the Manta ecosystem, so we don't really take like care about like if we'll get the principal out and stuff. It's more like the
Mm-hmm.
alignment with Manta Network. If suppose the co-founder is telling me that we are looking to get funds from you, so I want to understand why they want just funds from Manta Network. Is it
Yeah.
because they are not getting it from anywhere, or is it because they are actually liking the tech, they know the team, they know what we are doing, and if that they know they have done the research well, so it's a good point for me. And finally, it is related to overall ecosystem development and what they have done into the past. So if they have been like deployed any other projects or stuff, so it's good to know what they did and how it performed. If not, it's cool, but then depending on how enthusiastic they are about the product and how good they think about their own product, so based on that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's like pretty much the same as every chain that's looking for like a project founder or like a
Correct.
team. I think
Yeah.
one thing that you mentioned is really important. The team have to have a really good core tech team, because once you have like a good product, marketing can comes in later. Even
Exactly.
though we're in Web3, marketing is really important, community is important, but again, like the product won't go anywhere, or the project won't go anywhere without like a core product that actually works, that actually benefited the ecosystem, right? I think that I totally agree with that part.
Yeah, because like for marketing, even you can hire a marketing agency. It's not a difficult thing. But if you hire a product team to develop your product, so that brings a negative impact, right?
Hmm. Exactly. And is it hard to find like a good tech team nowadays? I mean, coming from
Uh,
your end.
in Web3, it's quite expensive to be honest. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah, it's very expensive, but as it generates things, so we can find the good developers and everything. But trust me, when we talk about Web2 developers coming to Web3, but it's very difficult to make them understand how this works, because in Web3 it's not just the product which is your product, but the token is also your product, right? You have
Yes.
actually two products, so making them understand the product like token is quite different from equity and stuff, it's very difficult. And they know like what to develop, but they don't know how people will use, what people will use and stuff, so that is very difficult. If suppose they know that, then that's good.
So we're still focusing more on like Web3 native
Correct. Yeah.
developers instead of like Web2, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but still again the Web3 developers are quite expensive.
True. I think there's also like a lot of developers that are trying to pitch into Web3. Like, I mean, the Web2 developers one, just because they know that the job opportunity and the pay is higher on the Web3 side. And not even just talking about developers, but we have like all the community managers, the BD and so on. They're actually quite they actually quite paid quite nicely in the Web3 side compared to the Web2 side.
Uh, Actually, this can be a like country to country. Like when we talk about
Mm,
Indonesia, Southeast Asian market, so yes. But if we talk about like US, some part of Europe and stuff like the developed countries, so I've seen that like people have been paid more in Web three, like sorry Web
yeah,
two, and
Web
they
2.
ask, yeah, Web two. I've seen that. Like people
I
tell me
see.
that Web two job was more secured. It
Oh,
was more
true.
like it was more like working for a particular hours, we can take break in between and stuff. But in
Yeah.
Web3 everyone is constantly working and everything, because it's not that like everyone is so dedicated, but say suppose if we are in Southeast Asian time zone, we are working at this clock, right? But if
Yeah.
suppose we have some partners in US, so we need to work with them, or either they need to work on our time zone. So that's how like it works, right? So I think so this is the reason like why Web3 doesn't sleep and stuff. But there is one more thing, like it depends, like for developing country Web3 is a kind of like good thing where people come together, and that's also one reason why most of the people in Web3 is like coming from Southeast Asia. But
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about US market and stuff, so I think so adoption is good as well, but people know that they can get paid in Web2 as well, so they don't have to worry
Yes.
about payment.
I guess security is a big thing when it comes to job,
Definitely. Even for me,
especially coming from like Web 2. But
like
mhm.
I was in a bank, like government bank, and in India, if you are working for government till you die, and even after you die, you still get paid. Even
Yeah,
after you die,
exactly.
your wife gets paid and everything. So that was how secure I was before coming to Web3.
What makes you jump from that secure and stable job?
So, actually, there was not a certain motive behind that. It was just a process which I started following. So, when I was like doing all the work over there, as I mentioned, that was a secure job. Even I don't have to do much work over there. So, when I had a free time, I used to read about it because I wanted to invest in it, not to work on
Mm,
the Bitcoin or Ethereum side. And that time, my major instinct was like Bitcoin is good, but I also want to invest in Ethereum, and I started
I
learning
see.
about thing. And instead of like going through actually what DeFi is, what everything is, I started with the DAO, what DAO is. So that was a kind of thing when I need to learn all the small steps. Like when they talk about DAO, they talk about voting on what thing they are voting, DeFi and stuff, and I need to understand now DeFi. So that was a upside down process for me. I started learning about it, and then I got an interest into it. So luckily, that time Polygon was hiring, and I got into it, and it was a easy thing for me then.
It's good that like the first jump from like that government job is like to Polygon instead to like
Because
instead to like a startup like a Web3 startup project because that would be, way riskier than what you had previously.
exactly, so like that time, Polygon was based in India, and
Mm,
like that was the only project like Indian ecosystem would know about, because that was the big one, and it was
I
from India.
see. I see. It's good that you're here now, but I do believe, Asia, I mean comparing between like developing countries and developed countries. In Asia there's like fairly more developing countries, right? But I do believe like Asia in general is like a sleeping giant. Like there are like people that I met in Token 2049 that has come to Asia like for the first time and see that it's such a strong community. I'm not so sure how it is in the Western side because I've never been to like any events on the Western side. Hopefully next year. But so far in Asia, it has been a very close knit community. We have all these events, and it's like people like are keen to like explore partnerships together, are keen to do marketing together. Even like you coming into our podcast, really we really appreciate it. It's like fairly easy for us, right? And it's just like the community that keeps on building. And if we talk about like Asia in general, a lot of like of us, like even like from Indonesia, from Malaysia, are all actually holders, right? We trade, so there's like some push and positive movement on like even the token itself, if we're talking about token. And hopefully, more projects, more developers that's coming from us that are like quite undervalued, but hopefully will be like the front side of like Web3. I hope that's what you're also like thinking of like us
uh,
in general as a region.
I know. So, Manta, most of the team comes from Southeast Asia, and I trust the
Mm-hmm.
developers as well who are coming from Southeast Asia, because I've seen them performing really well. They are more efficient. Like they're really efficient. Like if I tell them that I want this kind of product right now on Manta, they can execute within minutes and stuff. So they are so like good into the tech and everything. If I face any difficulty, within few minutes they can solve this out, and everything is done. Cool. Apart from that, even like I think so. Overall ecosystem, the most projects like we have seen recently either have Southeast Asian presence, or maybe they are
Mm-hmm.
focused into it. So Southeast Asian market is good. Like even right now, people prefer like more their tokens to be traded in Southeast Asia, because they know the volume is
Yes.
quite big. The people number of users is more bigger than the Western world, because the population is big, definitely. So even a single person buys a single token, that increase the volume a lot. So right. So that is something like we should focus, and I personally think like Manta is focused on that side. So if you see like Manta was present into Eat Denver everywhere in Western
Mm.
world as well, like ECC and stuff. But when we talk about Southeast Asian market, if you came to CoinFest Bali, you'll see Manta everywhere. when you come to ETH and stuff, you'll see Manta as a title sponsor. The reason behind that is like we want to focus and we want to capture this market first, and we think like even if we capture this market like quite well, it's enough for Manta.
Yes, that's good. So again, like, what are your vision for that, right? For vision specifically for Southeast Asia, from Manta, in
So
let's say in the next like 3 to 5 years.
uh, like as I initially started with, like we have local communities over here. I want to
Hmm.
expand that communities to some other places as well, like which we haven't tapped yet. Like it can be Philippines, some
Hmm.
part of Philippines. We want to focus more on the places we already have the community, like Hong Kong. We need to focus more because we have like previously got some grants from Hong Kong Cyberport, which is a part of government. Apart from that, we also wanted like in coming December we will be focused on India as well. We will be planning to do some big things over here because we'll have ETH India and IBW. Um, Apart from that, I think so. Overall ecosystem looks well. We just need to push more for next few years so that the users, just like you mentioned, people are like quite focused and know about Manta. We just want to do that in all the countries so that any country we go in Southeast Asia, people should know like what Manta is and what Manta is doing. That's it.
Exciting stuff. Can't wait to see all like the development from Manta's side. Last question, because like we're currently coming to an end of this podcast. I would want to hear from you, from yourself, what should we expect from the crypto industry in general? Again, we've talked about like Manta, but I want to hear from you directly. What can we expect from the industry within the next, you know, not like let's not like focus on like the bigger picture, but let's focus on next year. What can we focus on? Like, what are the narrative that will be coming from 2025?
So, what I think is the first would be definitely ZK will be here. Second
Hmm.
will be modularity. Third will be about the parallel side of like chains, like parallel chains. That would be the next big thing which we will be seeing because there are a lot of chains who will be executing and who will be planning to launch. And fourth will be about the chain abstraction, where initially bridging was difficult. Now
Yeah.
with the bridging is sorted out, we are going to the next step, which will be this part, where it will be really simple for chain abstraction that we can use different chains by sitting on one platform. So I have seen some projects who are already working on this, and hopefully they will be launching soon. uh, and final will be like we have been competitive between like SVN and EVM, right? Like Solana is
Yeah.
better, Ethereum is better, but I think so there are some projects who will be executing this and they will be focused on both the side so that they can bring both communities together. So I hope to see that soon.
Okay. Oh my God, that's such a positive outlook. I hope everyone hears that. Those will be like the biggest movers in 2025, and we have like so many updates. Hopefully, coming from Manta, coming from other projects as well, other chains as well, that allows this to happen.
Hopefully everyone agrees on this.
Yes. Any last words before I stop recording?
um Nothing on the serious note, but definitely like hopefully we see the next bull run soon.
I know, we've been waiting. Oh my God, there's like a filter. Yeah, we've been waiting. There's like even on Bitcoin itself, there's like some noise coming from it will hit 100K even
I've seen
in
that.
Q1 2025. I'm like just hoping, fingers crossed.
I'm just
It's
holding.
gonna go there. Yeah, just holding, DCAing right now. I think like right now there's also like a correction. Hopefully it doesn't go down again.
Yeah,
Just,
I hope to. Since yesterday, I've
yeah,
seen that.
since last week. Okay, Shubham. I think that's all for our conversation. I want to thank you once again for coming into Zeller World podcast. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you.